Yuri walked through Seoul for hours. No destination, no purpose. Just walking, trying to outrun the pain, trying to make sense of what had happened. She ended up at Han River, the place he'd taken her 3 weeks ago. They'd sat on the bank at 3 a.m. watching the water, not talking, just being together. He'd put his jacket around her shoulders when she shivered. She'd leaned her head on his shoulder. They'd stayed there until dawn. Had that been fake too? Had any of it been real? She sat down on the same bank now, alone, and finally let herself fall apart. The tears came, silent at first, then building to gut-wrenching sobs that made her whole body shake. She cried for the dream that had died, for the man she'd thought he was, for the future she'd imagined, for the love she'd felt, for the trust she'd given, for the idiot she'd been to believe that someone like Kang Min-jun could love someone like her. Of course, it had been too good to be true. Men like him didn't fall for ordinary translators. Men like him had women like Seo-yeon, beautiful, sophisticated, belonging in his world. Yuri didn't belong there. She never had. She'd just been too stupid to see it. She cried until she had no tears left, until she was empty, hollowed out, a shell of the person she'd been just hours ago. When the sun started to rise over Seoul, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, Yuri made a decision. She was leaving. She couldn't stay in Seoul, couldn't risk seeing him again, couldn't work at a company where everyone would eventually find out what happened, couldn't build a life in a city full of memories of him. She would go to Busan, to her grandmother, start over, find a new job, build a new life. Forget Kang Min-jun ever existed. It would take time, maybe years, maybe forever, but she would try. She had to try. Because the alternative, staying here, being reminded of him every day, would kill her. She stood up on shaky legs, wiped her face, straightened her dress, and walked away from Han River without looking back. She didn't know it yet. Didn't know that in 3 days she'd take a pregnancy test on a whim because her period was late. Didn't know that she'd stare at 2 pink lines and feel her entire world shift again. Didn't know that inside her, 2 tiny lives were growing. 2 pieces of him that she couldn't walk away from even if she tried. She didn't know that leaving Seoul wasn't leaving him at all. She was carrying him with her, and she would carry that truth for the next 5 years, raising his children alone, never calling, never reaching out, never asking for help. Because the help knows their place. Right? 3 weeks later, Yuri boarded a train to Busan. 1 suitcase, all her belongings fitting into 1 bag. That's how little she'd accumulated in Seoul, how small her life had been. She'd resigned from LK Corporation via email. Professional. Clean. No explanation beyond pursuing other opportunities. She'd cleaned out her apartment, paid her final rent, and disappeared. Min-jun would find out she'd left through his security reports, would read her resignation with shaking hands, would stand at the window of his penthouse looking out at Seoul and knowing she was gone, and he wouldn't go after her, wouldn't call, wouldn't check on her, because that was the deal he'd made with himself. That was the sacrifice. She was safe now, away from him, away from his world, free to heal and move on and find happiness. That's what he told himself. That's the lie he lived with. For 5 years. The train ride to Busan took just under 3 hours. Yuri sat by the window, watching Seoul disappear behind her, and felt nothing. She was numb, empty, moving through the world like a ghost. Busan was warm when she arrived. Summer was settling in. The air smelled like ocean salt, different from Seoul's urban scent. Her grandmother's house was small but comfortable. Her grandmother didn't ask questions when Yuri showed up with a suitcase and dead eyes, just pulled her into a hug and let her cry. "Man trouble?" her grandmother asked later over tea. Yuri laughed bitterly. "Something like that." "His loss," her grandmother said firmly. "Any man stupid enough to let you go doesn't deserve you anyway." If only it were that simple. 3 days later, Yuri woke up feeling wrong, nauseous, exhausted. Her period was late, really late, over a week now. She tried to ignore it. Stress could do that. Heartbreak could do that. Her body was just reacting to trauma. But her grandmother, observant as always, noticed. Yuriya, when was your last period? I don't know, a while? Her grandmother gave her a look. That knowing, grandmother look that saw too much. Go to the pharmacy, buy a test. Grandma, I'm not buy the test. So Yuri did, walked to the pharmacy with a hood pulled up, sunglasses on, like she was committing a crime. Bought 3 different brands because she didn't know which was best. Walked back in a daze, sat in her grandmother's bathroom, staring at the little plastic sticks like they were explosives. This was ridiculous. She couldn't be pregnant. They'd always been careful. Min-jun had always been so meticulous about protection. Control freak that he was. Except there was that one night, about 7 weeks ago, late in his office. Things had gotten heated. They'd almost crossed the line but stopped themselves. But there had been a moment, a split second where control slipped. Could that have been enough? Her hands were shaking as she opened the first test. 3 minutes later, she stared at 2 pink lines. Positive. Must be wrong, the test was probably defective. She opened the second test. 2 pink lines. Her heart was racing now. This couldn't be happening. Third test. 2 pink lines. All 3 tests. All positive. She was pregnant. With Kang Min-jun's baby. Yuri made it to the toilet just in time to throw up. But she didn't know if it was morning sickness or pure terror. She was pregnant. With the child of a man who told her she was nothing. A man who destroyed her. A man whose name she never wanted to hear again. And there was a life growing inside her. Innocent. Blameless. Half her and half him. What was she supposed to do? She sat on the bathroom floor. 3 positive tests lined up in front of her and felt the weight of an impossible decision settling on her shoulders. She could tell him. He deserved to know. This was his child too, but the memory of his cold eyes stopped her. You're just the help. Know your place. Don't come back. He'd made it clear what she meant to him. Nothing. Less than nothing. If she told him about the baby, what would he do? Throw money at her? Take the child away? Use it as another tool in his empire? Or worse? What if he thought she'd gotten pregnant on purpose? To trap him? To force his hand? She couldn't bear it. Couldn't bear seeing that disgust in his eyes. Couldn't bear hearing him accuse her of schemes she'd never dream of plotting. And what kind of life would this child have? Growing up in the shadow of a mafia king? Always in danger? Always a target? Always used as a weapon against their father? No, she couldn't do that. This baby deserved better. Deserved safety. Deserved a normal life. Deserved a childhood free from violence and fear and the weight of their father's world. She would do this alone. She would raise this baby herself. Give them everything she could. Love them enough for 2 parents. Protect them from the darkness that followed Kang Min-jun like a shadow. She would never tell him, never call, never ask for help. This baby would be hers, only hers. It was the right choice, the only choice. She was certain of it. She told herself that lie every single day for the next 5 years. Her grandmother found her on the bathroom floor, still sitting there, still holding the tests. "Oh, child," her grandmother said softly, kneeling down beside her. "Is it his?" Yuri nodded, unable to speak. "Does he know?" She shook her head. "Are you going to tell him?" "No." Her voice was firm, final. "He made it clear I meant nothing. I won't force this on him." Her grandmother was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that made Yuri look up in shock. "You're stronger than your mother was. She ran from responsibility. You're running toward it. I'm proud of you. You're not disappointed? Disappointed? Yuri-ya, you're giving me a great-grandchild. I'm thrilled, her grandmother smiled. But more than that, you're making the hard choice, the brave choice, protecting your child above all else. That's what mothers do. Yuri started crying again. But this time, they weren't all tears of grief. Some of them were relief, gratitude, hope. We'll do this together, her grandmother promised. You and me. We'll give this baby everything they need. And they did. For 9 months, Yuri lived in Busan, found a new job as a freelance translator. Working from home, her pregnancy was smooth, uneventful, boring even, until the ultrasound at 20 weeks. Twins, the doctor said cheerfully. Congratulations. Yuri stared at the screen. 2 heartbeats, 2 little shapes, 2 babies. She was having twins. Min-jun's twins. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry, so she did both. Now 5 years later, back to the present day, the twins were born healthy, a boy and a girl, perfect in every way. Yuri named them Hae-jun and Suah. The boy had Min-jun's eyes from day one, those same dark, intense eyes, the same serious expression. Even as a baby, the girl had Yuri's smile and warmth, but Min-jun's stubborn streak. They were the best things that ever happened to her, and the most painful reminder of what she'd lost. For 5 years, she'd raised them alone. Oh, her grandmother helped, was there for every milestone, every late night, every sick day. But Yuri was their mother, their world, their everything. She told them their father had passed away before they were born. A simple lie. Clean. Uncomplicated. Better than the truth. Better than saying their father thought she was nothing. She moved them to Singapore when the twins were 3. Needed a fresh start. Needed distance from Korea entirely. Found work as a translator for international firms. Made enough money to give them a comfortable life. Not rich, but stable, safe, happy. The twins thrived. Hae-jun was quiet, observant, incredibly smart. He asked questions about everything, loved puzzles and books and building things, and he drew pictures, constantly, always the same subject. A tall man in a dark suit. Who's that? Yuri asked once, her heart in her throat. The man from my dreams, 5-year-old Hae-jun said matter-of-factly. He looks sad. I want to make him feel better. Yuri had to leave the room so he wouldn't see her cry. Suah was the opposite. Bubbly, fearless, always laughing. She made friends everywhere they went. Danced through life like it was an adventure. But she was fiercely protective of her brother. And sometimes, when she got angry, her eyes would flash with the same intensity Min-jun's did. They were perfect. They were his. And he had no idea they existed. Yuri had built a good life in Singapore. The twins were happy, healthy, loved. She'd moved on. Dated occasionally, though nothing serious. Focused on being the best mother she could be. She'd succeeded in forgetting Kang Min-jun, except for every time she looked at Hae-jun's eyes, or heard Suha's stubborn tone, or lay awake at night wondering if she'd made the right choice, wondering if he ever thought about her, wondering if he'd even cared when she left, wondering if she should have told him about the twins. But it was too late now. 5 years too late. They'd built a life without him. A good life. They didn't need him. She didn't need him. She told herself that lie every single day and believed it until the day everything changed. Until the day Min-jun's younger sister posted a photo on Instagram. Until the day the past came crashing back into her present. Until the day she learned that some things can't stay buried forever. Minji was having the time of her life. At 22, she was finally free. Free from Seoul. Free from her overprotective brother. Free from bodyguards who followed her everywhere. Well, mostly free. Min-jun had insisted on a security detail even in Singapore, but they were discreet enough that she could pretend they didn't exist. She was here for a semester abroad, business studies at the National University of Singapore, but really, she was here to live, to experience life outside the gilded cage her brother had built around her. Minji loved her brother. She really did. But he was suffocating. Had been for the last 5 years. Ever since, well, she didn't know what had happened 5 years ago. But something had changed in Min-jun. He'd become colder, more distant, more obsessed with control. Their father had died when she was 2, so Min-jun had basically raised her. Been her parent, her protector, her everything. He'd paid for her education, made sure she had everything she needed, kept her safe from the uglier parts of his business. She knew he ran a company, LK Corporation, legitimate, successful, boring. What she didn't know, what he'd carefully hidden from her, was what else he ran. The empire built on shadows and violence, the kingdom he controlled with an iron fist. To Minji, her brother was just an overprotective CEO who worried too much and needed to get a life. If only she knew. It was her 3rd week in Singapore when she discovered the park. Fort Canning Park. Beautiful, green, peaceful, the perfect place to escape campus stress and just breathe. She'd started going there every afternoon with her camera, taking photos for her Instagram. Flowers, architecture, candid shots of people living their lives. That's where she met them, the twins. It was a Tuesday afternoon. She was photographing a particularly beautiful tree when she heard laughter. Children's laughter, bright and pure and joyful. She looked over and saw them, a boy and a girl, maybe 5 years old. They were playing some kind of game, chasing each other around a bench while a woman watched from nearby. The children were adorable. The boy was serious-faced even while playing, his dark eyes focused and intelligent. The girl was all energy and smiles, her laughter carrying across the park. Minji raised her camera instinctively. She loved candid shots, real moments. These kids were perfect. Click, click, click. She was reviewing the photos when the boy suddenly stopped running, stopped mid-step, and turned to look directly at her. It was eerie, like he'd sensed her watching, like he knew. He stared at her with those dark, serious eyes, and Minji felt a strange chill. There was something about his face, something familiar. Hi, the girl had noticed her too now. She came bouncing over with zero fear, all confidence and charm. Are you taking pictures? Oh, yes, Minji said, lowering her camera. I'm sorry, I should have asked. You two are just so cute. We're adorable, the girl corrected with complete confidence. I'm Sua. That's my brother Haijun. He's shy. The boy had followed his sister over, moving more cautiously. He studied Minji with an intensity that was strange in someone so young. You have a pretty camera, he said quietly. His voice was careful, measured, like he thought before speaking. Thank you. Do you like photography? He shrugged. I like drawing better. Haijun draws the same thing every day, Sua announced. A tall man in a suit. It's boring. It's not boring, Haijun protested. He's important. Who is? Minji asked, genuinely curious. The man from my dreams, Haijun said, like this was perfectly normal. I don't know his name, but I see him a lot. He looks sad. Before Minji could respond to that strange statement, the woman who'd been watching them approached. Sua, Haijun, don't bother the nice lady, she said gently. Her Korean was fluent but carried a slight Busan accent, and when Minji looked up at her, her heart stopped. The woman was beautiful, late 20s, maybe early 30s, long black hair, warm brown eyes, a kind face with a beauty mark under her right eye. She looked tired but happy, like life had been hard but she'd survived it, and there was something about her too, something that nagged at Minji, like she'd seen this face before. They're fine, Minji assured her, switching to Korean. They're sweet kids. I was just taking some photos and they came over. You're Korean? The woman asked, surprise flickering across her face. From Seoul. I'm studying here for a semester. Minji, she held out her hand. The woman hesitated for just a fraction of a second. Then she shook Minji's hand. Emma Song. Emma, not a Korean name, but that accent was definitely Korean. And the surname Song. These are my children, Emma continued. I'm sorry if they disturbed you. Not at all, they're adorable. How old are they? 5. They'll be 6 in a few months. Twins? Yes, boy-girl twins, double trouble. Emma smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. They chatted for a few more minutes. Polite. Surface level. Emma was friendly but guarded, like she was used to keeping people at arm's length. The twins, however, had decided Minji was their new best friend. Soo-ah showed her the flowers they'd picked. Hae-jun shyly showed her a drawing he'd been working on. The drawing was of a man, tall, dark suit, standing alone. And even though it was a child's drawing, even though it was simple and rough, there was something about the proportions, the posture, the way the figure stood. It reminded Minji of someone. It reminded her of her brother. Which was crazy, just a coincidence. Kids drew random things all the time. We should go, Emma said, checking her watch. It's almost dinner time. Say goodbye, guys. Bye, Minji. Soo-ah hugged her legs impulsively. Bye, Hae-jun said quietly, giving a small wave. It was nice meeting you all, Minji said warmly. As they walked away, Minji found herself watching them. The way Emma held both kids' hands, the way Hae-jun walked, serious, controlled, like a little adult, the way Soo-ah skipped and chattered. Something about them stuck with her. She couldn't explain it. When she got back to her apartment that evening, she went through the photos she'd taken. The twins playing, laughing, Soo-ah mid-jump, Hae-jun looking at the camera with those serious eyes. She picked the best one, both kids smiling, Soo-ah's arms around her brother, and posted it to Instagram. Made some new little friends at the park today. These two are the cutest Yaruk Singapore life, but Yaruk new friends. Too adorable. She thought nothing of it. Just another post. Another moment captured and shared. She had no idea she'd just set off a bomb. Min-jun didn't use Instagram, didn't use social media at all. It was frivolous. A waste of time. A security risk. But he followed his sister's account through a fake profile from a distance, just to make sure she was safe, to see what she was doing, to feel connected to the one person in his life who still felt real. He checked her posts every night. A routine, a ritual, his one concession to normal human behavior. That night, he scrolled through his feed with his usual detachment. Minji at a cafe, Minji at her university, Minji with new friends. She looked happy. That was good. That's what he wanted for her. Then he saw the new post, the one from a few hours ago. 2 children, beautiful, smiling, hugging each other. His thumb was already moving to scroll past when something made him stop. The boy's eyes. Min-jun enlarged the photo, stared at it. His heart started beating faster. No, it couldn't be. The boy had dark eyes, sharp, intelligent, set in a face that was young but carried a seriousness that seemed out of place on a 5-year-old. The boy looked like him, like Min-jun had looked in childhood photos. That same intense gaze, that same serious expression. Even the jawline, young as it was, had that same structure. He was seeing things. Had to be. Coincidence. Lots of Korean kids probably looked similar. But he couldn't look away. And the girl, she was different. Lighter, warmer, but there was something in her features. The shape of her eyes. The way she smiled. She looked like... No, he was being crazy. This was insane. He checked the caption again. Made some new little friends at the park today. Friends, strangers, random kids his sister had met. But that boy, those eyes. Min-jun's hands were shaking. He zoomed in more, studied every detail, the way the boy stood, the way he held himself. Even at 5 years old, there was a controlled quality to him, a carefulness, like someone who'd learned too young that the world required caution. His phone was in his hand before he consciously decided to make the call. "Sir?" His head of security answered immediately. Always awake, always ready. Minji's new post, the children in the photo. I need everything. Who they are, where they live, who their parents are. Everything. "Sir, they're just everything," Min-jun repeated, his voice deadly quiet. "I want a full report by morning, and I want it discreet. Minji doesn't know. Nobody knows. Am I clear?" "Crystal, sir." He ended the call, looked at the photo again. He was being paranoid. This was nothing. Just two random kids who happened to look vaguely familiar. But those eyes, God, those eyes looked like his. He saved the photo, stared at it for another hour, memorizing every detail, looking for proof that he was wrong, that this was his mind playing tricks, that 5 years of guilt and grief had finally made him crack. He found no such proof. At 3 a.m., he finally put his phone down and tried to sleep. He failed. All he could see were those dark, serious eyes staring back at him from a stranger's child. A child who looked exactly like he had at that age. A child who would be exactly 5 years old if Yuri had been pregnant when she left. If she'd hidden it from him. If she'd raised his children, alone for 5 years. If he had babies out there in the world he knew nothing about. No, that was impossible. She would have told him. Wouldn't she? The report came at 6 a.m. Min-jun hadn't slept at all. He opened the file with shaking hands. Subject: Park encounter. Children identification. Child: 1. Kang Hae-jun, Korean name. Ethan Kang, English name. Age: 5 years, 4 months. Sex: male child. 2. Kang Sua, Korean name. Sophie Kang, English name. Age: 5 years, 4 months. Sex: female mother. Song Yuri, also goes by Emma Song. Age: 32. Current residence: Singapore. Occupation: freelance translator. Min-jun stopped breathing. Song Yuri, his Yuri, the woman he'd destroyed to save. The woman he'd thought about every single day for 5 years. She was alive. She was in Singapore, and she had children, twins, 5 years old. He did the math in his head. Birth would have been approximately 9 months after she left Seoul, which meant she would have been pregnant when he destroyed her, when he told her she was nothing, when he sent her away. Oh God. Oh God, what had he done? His vision blurred. The room spun. He gripped the edge of his desk so hard his knuckles turned white. She'd been pregnant, carrying his children, and he'd called her the help, told her to know her place, watched her walk away broken and alone while she was carrying his babies. The report continued. Father, listed as deceased on birth certificates. Additional notes, subject appears to have been approximately 2 months pregnant at time of departure from Seoul. Birth records show healthy delivery of twins via C-section at KK Women's and Children's Hospital, Singapore. Children are well cared for. Mother works from home to be present. No father figure in picture. Subject has built a quiet life away from previous connections. Deceased. She told the children their father was dead. And why wouldn't she? He'd killed the man she thought he was, had become the monster, had proven every suspicion right. Of course she'd told them he was dead. Better a dead father than the truth. The report included photos, recent ones. Surveillance his team must have pulled from various sources. Yuri walking with the twins, each holding a small hand. Yuri at the grocery store, the twins helping her shop. Yuri reading to them at bedtime through a window. The twins at a playground. Hae-jun watching carefully while Sua climbed fearlessly. His children, his son, his daughter. 5 years of birthdays he missed. First words, first steps, first days of school. everything. Gone. Stolen by his own choices. He looked at the photo of Haejun again. Really looked. And now that he knew, he could see it so clearly. The boy was him. Undeniably. Those eyes, that serious expression. Even the way he stood. Controlled. Careful. Watching the world like it might be dangerous. Had Yuri noticed? Every single day, had she looked at their son and seen him staring back? What kind of torture was that? And Sua, beautiful, bright Sua. She had Yuri's warmth and smile, but she had his intensity, his stubborn streak. He could see it even in these photos. The set of her jaw, the flash in her eyes when her brother tried to stop her from climbing too high. She was his daughter. They were his children, and they thought he was dead. Min-jun's hands were shaking so badly he could barely hold the phone. He needed proof, needed to be 100% certain, needed to know beyond any doubt. He made another call. "I need DNA confirmation," he said without preamble. "The children in the photos. I need samples and I need them compared to mine. I don't care what it costs. I don't care what laws you have to bend. Get it done." "Sir, obtaining samples without consent is..." "I'm not asking for your legal opinion. I'm giving you an order. You have 24 hours. He ended the call. His team was good. The best. They'd find a way. They always did. A discarded juice box from the park. Hair from a hairbrush if they could access the apartment. Anything with biological material. He just needed proof. Needed to see it in black and white. Needed to know if he'd missed 5 years of his children's lives because he'd been too busy saving their mother by destroying her. The irony was crushing. He'd pushed Yuri away to keep her safe. And she'd been pregnant. Alone. Scared. Probably terrified. And she'd never called, never reached out, never asked for help. Because he'd made sure she hated him. Because he'd done his job too well. Because he was an idiot who thought he was being noble. Min-jun looked out at Seoul. His city. His kingdom. His empire. And none of it meant anything. None of it mattered. Because somewhere in Singapore, his children were waking up. Going about their day. Living their lives without him. Not knowing he existed. Thinking he was dead. And it was all his fault, every single bit. 24 hours later, the DNA results came back at midnight. Min-jun was in his office, hadn't left, hadn't slept, hadn't eaten, just waited. The envelope sat on his desk, innocuous white paper that contained the truth. He stared at it for 10 full minutes before opening it. His hands shook. Kang Min-jun's hands never shook, but they were shaking now. He opened it slowly, read the scientific jargon, the markers, the analysis. Then he saw the conclusion. Subject 1, Kang Haejun. Probability of paternity. 99.99%. Subject 2, Kang Sua. Probability of paternity. 99.99%. The paper slipped from his fingers. Just like it had that first night when this all started. When Minji's innocent Instagram post had torn open 5 years of carefully maintained denial, they were his. Not just probably, not just maybe, definitely, scientifically, undeniably. Those children were his. He had a son. He had a daughter. And they had no idea he existed. The sound that came out of him was inhuman. Pain and rage and grief all mixed together. He swept everything off his desk. Papers, laptop, phone, everything crashed to the floor in a symphony of destruction. 5 years, 5 years. He'd missed everything, every milestone, every moment, every laugh and tear and scraped knee and bedtime story. Gone. Because he'd been trying to be noble. Because he'd thought pushing her away would keep her safe. Because he'd underestimated her strength and overestimated his importance. She'd built a whole life without him. Raised their children alone. Worked. Survived. Thrived even, from the looks of it. She didn't need him. Had never needed him. She'd done it all herself. The woman he'd destroyed had turned out to be stronger than the man who'd tried to save her. Min-jun sank into his chair, picked up the DNA results again, read them over and over, like repetition would make them less devastating, less real. It didn't. His children, his babies, 5 years old, living in Singapore with a mother who told them he was dead, and he couldn't even be angry about it. How could he be? What had he given her except pain? Why would she tell him? Why would she want him in their lives? He'd called her the help, told her to know her place, sent her away like she was nothing, while she was pregnant with his children. If he could go back, if he could do it differently. But he couldn't. Time was the one thing even money and power couldn't buy. The question now was simple, even if the answer was impossibly complicated. What was he going to do about it? Option 1, do nothing, leave them alone, let them live their peaceful life in Singapore. Yuri had built something good for their children. They were happy, safe, loved. Who was he to disrupt that? Option 2, reveal himself, walk into their lives and claim his place as their father, demand his rights, take what was his. Both options felt wrong. Doing nothing meant accepting that he'd never know his children, never hear them call him dad, never be part of their lives. Could he live with that? Could he watch from the shadows forever? But revealing himself meant destroying the peace Yuri had built, meant forcing himself into a life that didn't want him, meant making his children choose, meant potentially putting them in danger from his world, the same danger he'd pushed Yuri away to avoid 5 years ago. Nothing had changed. He was still dangerous. His world was still violent. His enemies would still use anyone he loved against him. Maybe Yuri had been right to tell them he was dead. Maybe staying dead was the kindest thing he could do. But even as he thought it, he knew it was a lie. Because he'd seen Hae-jun's drawing, the tall man in a suit, the man from his dreams. His son was dreaming about him. His son, who'd never met him, was somehow calling out to him across the distance. Blood called to blood, and Min-jun couldn't ignore that call, couldn't leave them, couldn't stay away. He'd already lost 5 years. He wasn't losing anymore. He picked up his phone, made a call. "Prepare my jet," he said, his voice steady now. Decided. "I'm going to Singapore." "When, sir?" "Tonight. And clear my schedule for the next week. I'm not coming back until I have answers." "Of course, sir. Shall I inform?" "No one. This trip is private. No announcements. No security detail beyond what's necessary. No trail." He ended the call, looked at the DNA results one more time. 99.99%. His children. He was going to Singapore. He was going to find Yuri, and he was going to get answers. He didn't know what he'd say, didn't know how she'd react, didn't know if she'd slam the door in his face or scream at him or call the police. Didn't know if his children would reject him or fear him or hate him. Didn't know anything except that he had to try, had to see them, had to look his son in the eyes and tell him that the man from his dreams was real, was here, was his father, even if Yuri never forgave him, even if his children never accepted him. Even if this was the biggest mistake of his life. He was done hiding, done staying away, done letting fear and guilt and shame keep him from the only things that mattered. He'd spent 5 years convinced he'd saved Yuri by pushing her away. Time to find out if he'd actually destroyed both their lives for nothing. 2 days later, Min-jun stood across the street from a modest apartment building in Singapore's residential district. His hands were in his pockets. His face was carefully neutral. But inside, he was terrified. More terrified than he'd ever been facing down rivals, or making life or death decisions, or building an empire. Because this mattered. This was everything. His security team had given him the address. Yuri lived on the 4th floor, Unit 4B. Her schedule was predictable. Mornings she worked from home while the twins were at kindergarten. Afternoons she picked them up at 3 p.m. Evenings were family time. It was 2:45 p.m. now. In 15 minutes, she'd leave to pick up the children. he'd have his chance. He'd rehearsed what to say, practiced 100 different opening lines, prepared for every possible reaction. But now, standing here, all his preparation felt useless. What did you say to the woman whose heart you broke? To the mother of your children who'd raised them alone for 5 years? To the person who thought you were the worst thing that ever happened to her? "I'm sorry," seemed pathetically inadequate. "I love you," seemed presumptuous. "I know about the twins," seemed too cold. There were no right words, so maybe he'd just start with the truth. The door to the building opened, and there she was. 5 years older, but still beautiful. Still her. Yuri walked out into the Singapore sunshine wearing simple jeans and a white blouse. Her hair was shorter than he remembered. Shoulder length now. She had a bag over her shoulder, keys in her hand. She looked good. Happy, even. Like she'd built a life that worked. Like she didn't need him. Min-jun's feet moved before his brain caught up. He crossed the street, each step feeling like walking to his own execution. She didn't see him at first. Was checking her phone, distracted. He got closer. 10 feet. 5 feet. "Yuri," his voice, low, quiet. Her name like a prayer. She froze, went completely still, like she'd heard a ghost. Slowly, so slowly, she looked up, and their eyes met. For the first time in 5 years, Kang Min-jun and Song Yuri looked at each other, and the world stopped spinning. The color drained from Yuri's face. For a moment, she just stared, like her brain couldn't process what her eyes were seeing, like reality had glitched and placed an impossible person in front of her. Then the color came back, a flood of it, red hot, anger and shock and fear all mixing together. "No," the word came out sharp, final. "No, you're not here, you're not real." "Yuri, no." Louder now, she took a step back. Her hands were trembling. The keys jangled. You can't just..." "No." Min-jun raised his hand slowly, placating, non-threatening, like approaching a wounded animal. "Please, I just need to talk to you." "Talk?" Her laugh was bitter, broken. "Now you want to talk after 5 years? After you..." Her voice cracked. She stopped, pressed her lips together, breathed hard through her nose. She was fighting tears, refusing to cry. He could see it in the way her jaw clenched, the way her shoulders tensed. God, she was still so strong. "How did you find me?" Her voice was steadier now, colder, defensive walls slamming into place. "That doesn't matter." "It matters to me!" She was almost shouting now. People walking by were starting to stare. "I left, I disappeared, I built a whole new life. And you? You just show up like you have any right?" "I know," he said quietly. "I know I have no right. I know I'm the last person you want to see. But please, just 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking." "5 minutes?" She laughed again. That same broken sound. "You think 5 minutes can fix what you did?" "No, nothing can fix what I did. But I need you to understand." "Understand what?" Her voice rose, raw emotion bleeding through the anger. "That I was just a convenient distraction? That I was stupid enough to believe you actually cared? That I was the help who forgot her place?" Each word was a knife. Each one deserved. He'd said those things, meant them to hurt. Succeeded too well. "I lied," he said simply, quietly. "Everything I said that night was a lie." She stared at him, disbelieving. "Don't. Yuri, don't you dare!" She was shaking now, really shaking. "Don't you dare stand there and try to rewrite history. I saw you, with that woman. I heard every word. I watched you touch her. So don't you dare tell me it was a lie. It was staged, all of it. The woman was an actress, paid to play a part." Yuri's expression flickered. Confusion. Then more anger. "Why would you..." "To save you." The words hung in the air between them. "To save me?" Her voice was dangerous now, quiet, deadly. "You destroyed me to save me?" "My enemies found you. They sent me photos, threats. They were going to kill you to hurt me. The only way to protect you was to make you leave. Make you hate me so much you'd never come back. So they'd lose interest. So you'd be safe. He said it all in a rush, desperate for her to understand, to see that he'd done it for her, that every cruel word had been a sacrifice. Yuri just stared at him. Then she laughed, really laughed, but there was no humor in it, just pain, just devastation. "You're unbelievable," she said when she could breathe again. "You broke my heart, destroyed me, sent me away broken and alone. And you want me to believe it was for me? It was? I was pregnant." The words exploded out of her, loud, raw, full of 5 years of held-back pain. "I was pregnant, Min-jun. I found out 3 days after I left Seoul. I was carrying your children, and you just told me I was nothing." The world tilted. Everything went silent. His heart stopped. She knew that he knew, could see it in her face. The realization dawning. "You already know," she said, her voice going flat. "Dead. That's why you're here. You found out about the twins." "Yuri, how?" she demanded. "How did you find out?" "My sister. She met them at a park. Posted a photo. I saw Haijun's eyes and I knew." "Minji?" Yuri breathed, then her face went white. "Oh God, she's here? In Singapore?" "She's a student. She had no idea. She doesn't know anything about you or about them being... Get away from my children." Yuri's voice was steel now. Protective. Fierce. The voice of a mother who'd fight the world for her babies. "You don't get to come here and threaten them." "I'm not threatening them. They're my children too." "No." She stepped forward, close enough that he could see every emotion on her face, every ounce of pain he'd caused. "No. You lost that right 5 years ago. You told me I was nothing. You sent me away. You made your choice." "I was trying to protect you. I didn't need your protection." She was crying now, finally, tears streaming down her face that she angrily wiped away. "I needed you. I needed you to fight for me, not push me away. I needed you to trust me enough to tell me the truth. If I'd told you, you would have stayed, and they would have killed you. So you decided for me, took away my choice, made yourself the hero in a story where you were actually the villain." The words hit like bullets, because she was right. He'd played God with her life, made decisions for her, decided he knew what was best, and she'd suffered for it. "I spent 2 months crying myself to sleep every night," she said, her voice shaking. 2 months thinking I meant nothing to you. 2 months completely alone. And then I found out I was pregnant. With twins. Your twins. And I had to decide what to do. You could have told me." "Told you what?" She was almost screaming now. "That I was pregnant? So you could throw money at me? Or try to take them? Or tell me they were a mistake like I was a mistake?" "I would never. You called me the help, Min-jun." Her voice broke on his name. "You told me to know my place. Why would I tell you anything after that?" "Because they're my children," he was shouting now too. 5 years of grief and guilt and rage pouring out. "Because I had a right to know." "You had a right?" She stepped even closer, fearless, furious. "You had a right? You destroyed me and you think that gave you rights?" "I loved you." The words exploded out of him. Raw, desperate, true. "I loved you so much it terrified me. I loved you so much I pushed you away to save your life. I loved you so much that I've spent 5 years hating myself for what I did. So yes, I think I had a right to know I had children." The words echoed in the space between them. Silence fell. They were both breathing hard, both crying, both broken. Yuri's face crumpled. Fresh tears fell. "You loved me?" "Yes." "Then why?" Her voice was small now, lost. "Why did you do it like that?" "Because I was a coward. Because I thought pain was better than death. Because I made the wrong choice and I've regretted it every day for 5 years." She covered her face with her hands. Her shoulders shook. Min-jun wanted to reach for her. to hold her, to comfort her. But he didn't have that right anymore. Maybe he never had. I raised them alone, she said through her tears. For 5 years, every sleepless night, every sick day, every milestone, every moment. Alone. I know, and I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't change anything. I know that too. She lowered her hands, looked at him with eyes that had seen too much pain. What do you want, Min-jun? Why are you really here? I want to meet them, my children. I want to know them. No. Yuri, they think you're dead. I told them their father died before they were born. They've grieved. They've accepted it. And now you want me to tell them I lied? That their father is alive and just didn't want them? That's what they'll think. She was crying harder now. They'll think they weren't good enough, that you knew about them and stayed away. How do I explain that to 5-year-olds? Tell them the truth. Which truth? That their father loved their mother so much he destroyed her? That he pushed her away to protect her? That he missed 5 years of their lives because of his own choices? Which truth makes this better? Min-jun had no answer, because every truth hurt. Every explanation failed. There was no version of this story that didn't damage his children. Hae-jun dreams about me, he said quietly. He draws pictures of a tall man in a suit. My sister said he told her it's the man from his dreams. Yuri's face went pale. How do you know about that? Because I looked into everything. Because when I found out about them, I couldn't stop. I needed to know everything. And I know that somehow, our son is dreaming about me. About a father he's never met. So, maybe there's a part of him that knows. That needs to know. Or maybe it's just dreams. Children dream about all kinds of things. Do they dream about the same thing every night for years? She didn't answer. Because she knew. She'd seen those drawings. Hundreds of them. All of the same figure. All searching for something. For him. What if I tell them no? She asked. What if I refuse to let you meet them? Then I'll respect that. I won't force myself into their lives. I won't use lawyers or money or power. I'll leave, and I'll spend the rest of my life wondering what they're like. She searched his face, looking for lies, for manipulation, for the cruel man who destroyed her. But all she saw was pain, real, genuine pain. I need to think, she said finally. This is too much, too big. I can't make this decision right now. Min-jun nodded, pulled out a card, his private number, handed it to her. When you're ready, if you're ever ready, call me. She took the card, looked at it like it might bite. I have to pick up the twins now, she said. They get out of school in 10 minutes. I know. You've been watching us. Not a question, an accusation. Trying to understand what I'd missed. Trying to see if they were okay. They're more than okay. They're wonderful. Perfect. Everything. Her voice was fierce with mother's pride. I did that. Without you. They don't need you. The words hurt. But they were fair. Maybe not, Min-jun agreed. But I need them. I need to know them. Even if it's from a distance. Even if they never know who I am. I need to be part of their lives somehow. Yuri looked at him for a long moment. Then she walked past him, toward her car. She stopped a few feet away. Didn't turn around. That night, she said quietly. At the hotel. Was any of it real? Before the actress? Before the setup? The months before? Were any of those moments real? Every single one. Then you're an even bigger fool than I thought. Her voice was thick with tears. Because you threw away something real for something safe. And you didn't save me, Min-jun. You just made both of us suffer. She got in her car and drove away, leaving him standing on a Singapore street. Alone. Like he deserved. That night, Min-jun sat in his hotel room. Luxury suite, top floor, view of the city. All meaningless. He'd confronted Yuri, told her the truth, begged for a chance, and she'd told him no. Or not yet, at least. His phone sat on the table, silent. She had his number, might never call, might make him wait days, weeks, might decide the answer was no and never contact him at all. He'd accept it if she did. He'd promised her that. But God, it would destroy him. To be this close, to know they existed, to have seen Yuri again after 5 years, and to walk away with nothing. At midnight, his phone buzzed. He grabbed it so fast he almost dropped it. A text from an unknown Singapore number. Saturday, 2 p.m., Fort Canning Park, same place Min-ji met them. I'll bring the twins, you can meet them. But there are rules. His heart stopped, then started racing. She was giving him a chance. He typed back immediately. Anything, whatever rules you want, I'll follow them. Her response came a minute later. 1. You don't tell them who you are. Not yet. Maybe not ever. That's my decision to make. 2. You don't promise them anything. No gifts, no grand gestures, nothing that makes them hope. 3. If they're uncomfortable, even for a second, you leave. No arguments, no goodbyes, just gone. 4. This is a trial. 1 meeting. If it goes badly, it's the only meeting. If it goes well, we'll see. 5. You hurt them and I will destroy you in ways your enemies never dreamed of. Mother's promise. Min-jun read the rules. Read them again. They were harsh, protective, completely fair. I understand. I agree to all of it. Thank you, Yuri, for this chance. I won't waste it. You better not. These are my babies, my world. I've protected them from everything for 5 years. I'm only doing this because Haijun deserves to know his dreams aren't just dreams. Because Suah deserves to have questions answered. Not for you. For them. I know. It's enough. Saturday, 2 p.m. Don't be late. And Min-jun? Yes? I'm still angry at you. So angry I can barely breathe sometimes. This doesn't mean I forgive you. This doesn't mean we're okay. This is me doing what's best for my children. Nothing more. I understand. She didn't respond after that, but it was enough. Saturday, 2 p.m. He'd meet his children, not as their father, not yet, maybe never, but he'd meet them. See them, hear their voices. It was more than he deserved, more than he'd hoped for. 3 days. He had 3 days to prepare for the most important meeting of his life. 3 days to figure out how to meet his son and daughter without falling apart. 3 days to be ready for the moment he'd dreamed about and dreaded in equal measure. He looked at his phone again, at Yuri's rules, her conditions, her fierce protection of their children. She was an amazing mother. He'd known she would be. Strong, brave, fierce, everything he wasn't. She'd built a life for their twins without him, thrived without him, succeeded without him. Maybe she was right. Maybe they didn't need him. But Saturday, he'd find out if maybe, just maybe, there was room in their perfect life for a broken man trying to be better. For a father who'd missed everything but wanted to be there for whatever came next. For Kang Min-jun, not the mafia king, not the powerful CEO, just a man who wanted to know his children, even if they could never know him. On Saturday at Fort Canning Park, Min-jun arrived at 1:45 p.m., early, anxious, terrified. He'd changed clothes 5 times that morning. What did you wear to meet your secret children? A suit felt too formal, too intimidating. Casual felt too try-hard. He'd settled on dark jeans and a black button-down, sleeves rolled up, no tie, trying to look approachable, trying to look like someone kids wouldn't be scared of. He looked like a man about to have a panic attack. He sat on a bench, the same area where Min-ji had met them. Waited. Each minute felt like an hour. What if they didn't come? What if Yuri changed her mind? What if the children took one look at him and ran? What if Haijun saw him and knew? What if this was the biggest mistake and he traumatized his children just by existing? At 1:58 p.m., he saw them, Yuri walking toward the park, holding 2 small hands. His children, his babies. 5 years old, real, right there. Hae-jun walked seriously beside his mother, taking in everything, careful, controlled. Soo-ah was skipping, chattering, pointing at things, full of energy and life. They got closer. Min-jun stood up. His legs felt weak. Yuri's eyes met his across the distance. She looked terrified too, but determined. They reached him, and for the first time in his life, Kang Min-jun looked directly at his children. Hae-jun stared back. Those dark eyes, so familiar, so much like looking in a mirror. The boy's head tilted, studying, thinking. "You're tall," Hae-jun said finally. His voice was quiet, observant. Yes, I suppose I am," Min-jun's voice cracked, like the man in my dreams. Time stopped. Yuri squeezed Hae-jun's hand, a warning, a comfort, both. "This is Mr. Kang," Yuri said, her voice carefully neutral. "He's visiting Singapore. I knew him a long time ago. He wanted to meet you both." "Why?" Soo-ah asked bluntly. She was staring at him with sharp, intelligent eyes, assessing. "Because your mother told me about you, and I wanted to meet such special children." "We are special," Soo-ah announced. "I can do 17 cartwheels in a row. Can you do cartwheels?" Despite everything, the tension, the fear, the weight of the moment, Min-jun smiled. "I haven't tried in a very long time." "You should try, it's fun." "Maybe later." "Can we sit?" Yuri asked. It wasn't really a question, more like, "Sit down before you fall down." They moved to the bench. Yuri sat in the middle, Hae-jun on her left, Soo-ah on her right. Min-jun sat on the opposite end, next to Soo-ah, close enough to see them, far enough to not be threatening. "You look sad," Hae-jun said suddenly, still staring at Min-jun with those two knowing eyes. "Hae-jun," Yuri warned gently. "But he does, Mommy. Like the man in my dreams. He always looks sad." Min-jun's throat tightened. "Maybe I am a little sad." "Why?" "How did you answer that? How did you tell a 5-year-old that you were sad because you'd missed their entire life? That you were sad because you were sitting next to them, but they didn't know you were their father? Because I lost something very important a long time ago. And I miss it." "What did you lose?" Soo-ah asked. "Someone I loved." He looked at Yuri when he said it. She looked away. "Did they die?" Hae-jun asked. "Like our daddy?" The word hit him like a physical blow. Daddy. They had a word for him. Had grieved him. Had accepted his absence. "No," Min-jun managed. "I just made mistakes and lost them because of those mistakes." "You should say sorry," Soo-ah advised sagely. "Mommy says sorry fixes lots of things." "I tried, but sometimes sorry isn't enough." "Then you have to try harder." Soo-ah was indignant. "Mommy says giving up is for quitters." Min-jun looked at Yuri again. She was staring at her daughter with something like pride and pain mixed together. "Your mommy is very smart," Min-jun said. "The smartest," Soo-ah agreed. "She speaks like 100 languages." "3," Yuri corrected softly. "Only 3." "That's still a lot," Hae-jun said. Then to Min-jun, "Do you speak other languages?" "A few. Korean, English, Japanese, some Mandarin." "We speak Korean at home," Hae-jun said, "and English at school. Mommy wants us to learn Mandarin next year." "That's good. Languages are important." They fell into silence. Not uncomfortable, exactly, but waited. Soo-ah got bored first. "Can we go play? Please, Mommy?" Yuri hesitated, then nodded. "Stay where I can see you. Don't talk to strangers. Stay together." "We know, Mommy." Soo-ah grabbed Hae-jun's hand and dragged him toward the playground area, leaving Yuri and Min-jun alone on the bench. "They're perfect," Min-jun said, his voice rough with emotion. "I know. You did an amazing job, without me, without any help." "I had help, my grandmother, friends. I wasn't completely alone." A pause. "But yes, I did it mostly alone." "I'm sorry. I know you are. Doesn't change anything." They watch the twins play, Suwa fearlessly climbing, Haijun watching carefully, ready to help if needed. He's protective of her, Min-jun observed. Always has been. From birth. Like he knew he was the older twin. Knew he had to watch out for his sister. He gets that from... Min-jun stopped. From me? He was going to say, but he couldn't. Because to them, he was just Mr. Kang, a stranger their mother used to know. He looks exactly like you did, Yuri said quietly. At that age, I've seen photos, that serious face, those eyes. It's like looking at you in miniature. Does it bother you, seeing me in him? She was quiet for a long time. At first it did. Every time I looked at him, I saw you, saw what you'd done. It hurt, but then he'd smile, really smile, and he was just Haijun, my son, not yours, mine, and the hurt faded. And Suwa, she has your intensity, your stubbornness, that fire inside, but she got my optimism, my belief that the world is good. She's the best of both of us. They're remarkable. They are. Min-jun watched his children play, his son, his daughter, right there, real, alive, laughing. Thank you, he said, for this, for letting me meet them. Don't thank me yet. This could still go badly. Yuri, what do you want from me? She turned to look at him, really look at him. I don't know, I'm angry at you, so angry, but I see how you look at them. I see that you really do care, that this isn't about control or ownership, that you're actually here because you want to know them. I do, more than anything, but I don't know if that's enough. I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know if I want them to know who you are, if I want them exposed to your world, your life. I wouldn't put them in danger. You already did once, by loving me, by making me a target. What makes this different? He had no answer, because she was right. His world was dangerous. His enemies were always watching. Bringing his children into that world would paint targets on their backs. Maybe I shouldn't be here, he said quietly. Maybe you were right. Maybe they're better off thinking I'm dead. Yuri looked at their children, watched them play. Look at Haijun, she said. Min-jun looked. Haijun was sitting at the base of the slide, drawing in the sand with a stick. A tall figure, always the same figure. He draws you everywhere, Yuri continued. Sand, paper, walls when I'm not looking. Always the same man, always searching. And he asks about his father. Not often, but enough that I know he thinks about it. Wonders. What do you tell him? That his father loved him very much. That his father would have been proud of him. That his father died before he was born. Lies. All lies. Her voice broke. And I hate lying to him. But what's the alternative? Telling him the truth? That his father is alive and just wasn't there? What if? Min-jun stopped. This was too much to ask. Too presumptuous. What if what? What if we told them I'm a friend? Someone you used to know. Someone who wants to be in their lives if they'll let me. And when they get older, when they start asking questions, when they notice that Haijun looks exactly like you, then we tell them the truth. When they're old enough to understand, old enough to choose. And until then, I'm just someone who cares about them, someone who wants to know them, someone their mother trusts enough to let around them. I don't trust you, Yuri said bluntly. I know, but maybe you could try, for them. She looked at him, searching his face for lies, for manipulation, for anything false. All she saw was desperate hope. I'll think about it, she said finally, but no promises. And if this goes wrong, if you hurt them even a little, you're gone, forever. I don't care who you are or what power you have. You'll never see them again. I understand. Do you? Because I'm not playing, Min-jun. These are my babies, my whole world. I will burn everything to the ground to protect them, including you. He believed her. The woman he'd destroyed had become fire, and he loved her even more for it. "Mommy!" Suha came running back. "Mr. Kang, come play with us!" "Oh, I don't think," Min-jun started. "Please?" Suha grabbed his hand, small fingers wrapping around his, trusting, innocent. His heart stopped. His daughter was holding his hand. His daughter. He looked at Yuri, asking permission. She nodded slowly. "Okay," he said, his voice rough. "Show me what you want me to do." Suha dragged him toward the playground, chattering about cartwheels and climbing and how Hae-jun could catch really well. Hae-jun watched them approach, still wary, still studying. "Do you want to play catch?" the boy asked quietly. "I would love to play catch." And for the next hour, Kang Min-jun, the feared mafia king of Seoul, the man who controlled an empire, the monster who'd built his life on violence, played with his children. He threw a ball with his son and was amazed at the boy's natural coordination. He watched his daughter do 17 cartwheels, she counted loudly, and applauded. He pushed them both on swings and felt his heart crack open at their laughter. He answered their questions and told them safe stories and tried so hard not to cry. And through it all, Yuri watched him be gentle when she knew he could be violent, watched him be patient when she knew he could be ruthless, watched him be everything she'd once thought he was before he destroyed her, and wondered if maybe, just maybe, some broken things could be healed. Not forgiven, not forgotten, but maybe made into something new. At 4 p.m., Yuri called them back. "Time to go home," she said. "Say goodbye to Mr. Kang." "Do we have to?" Suha whined. "Yes. Mr. Kang has things to do." "Will we see you again?" Hae-jun asked, looking at Min-jun with those knowing eyes. Min-jun looked at Yuri, asking. She hesitated, then nodded once. "If your mother says it's okay," Min-jun said carefully, "I would like that very much." "We'll see," Yuri said, non-committal. "Goodbye, Mr. Kang." Suha hugged his legs impulsively. Min-jun froze. Then slowly, carefully, he put his hand on her head, just for a second. "Goodbye, Suha. Thank you for teaching me about cartwheels." Hae-jun didn't hug, just offered his hand to shake. Formal, serious. Min-jun shook it. Man to man, father to son, though the boy didn't know it. "Goodbye, Hae-jun. You're not as sad now," the boy observed. "Your eyes are different. You made me happy, both of you." Hae-jun nodded, like that made sense. Then he walked back to his mother and took her hand. They left, the three of them, a complete family, without him. Min-jun stood in the park, alone again, but different than before, because he'd met them, held his daughter's hand, shook his son's hand, heard their voices, seen their smiles, and even though they didn't know who he was, even though he couldn't claim them, even though this might be the only time he ever got to be this close, it was enough. For now, it was enough. His phone buzzed. A text from Yuri. "You did well. They liked you. That doesn't mean I trust you. But maybe we can try this. Slowly, carefully. For them. Thank you. I won't let you down. You already did once. Don't make me regret this second chance." He wouldn't. He couldn't, because he'd already lost 5 years. He wasn't losing anymore. Whatever it took, however long it took, he was going to earn his place in their lives. Not as their father. Not yet. But as someone who cared. Someone who showed up. Someone who kept his promises. And maybe, someday, when they were ready, they'd know the truth. They'd know he was the man from Hae-jun's dreams, the father they thought was dead, the missing piece of their family. But until then, he'd be patient. He'd be present. He'd be whatever they needed him to be. Because they were worth it. They were worth everything. His children, his second chance, his hope for redemption. And this time, he wouldn't fail them.